Sefer Shoftim, Chapter 4. So now we're getting into the middle things. Moving on to the next Shofet, or this time Shofetet. Ehud ben Gera dies. The Jewish people now start having a problem with the king of Canaan, Yavin, King Yavin. Okay. But the main scary part was a general named, famously, Sisra. Sisra was his famous general. Him and his 900 iron chariots. They were in charge for 20 years. Everybody was scared of them. They didn't know what to do. And he had a lot of ga'ava. And he used to tell mean things to the Jewish people, tell them, God forgot about you. God, that's it. He's not on your side anymore. And then the Jewish people had the zechut, having their first, one of their many prophetesses, but their first female shofetet, first female judge. Her name was Devorah HaNeviah. Now, interestingly, she used to sit under the tomer tree, the date palm, and the Gemara says that the date palm has one heart, heart of palm. So to the Jewish people have one heart towards Hashem. Now, the Das Genim interestingly says that this palm tree is not named Tomer Devorah because of Devorah the prophetess. It's because Devorah of the wet nurse of Rivka Imenu. So she died at a certain place, the Torah says. We're going to learn soon in the Parashah. And they buried her next to this palm tree, so it's called the palm tree of Devorah because of the wet nurse of named Devorah, which was the wet nurse of Rivka. The Ramami Pano says, the Kabbalists explained that Devorah was Gilgul of Tamar, which was the ended up being the wife of Yehuda. So she sat at a crossroads, pretended to be a harlot, a prostitute. So now Devorah was Gilgul to sit at a public place, at a palm tree, but to give out words of Torah and prophecy and judgment, as opposed to for bad things or shady things. Now, obviously, Tamar had good intentions, but then in the day, the Rami Pano says she was a Gilgul. Now, how did Devorah Neviah become Devorah Neviah? So her first great merit was that her husband was an Am Haaretz. He was a not learned man, and she made it that he became a learned man. How did she do that? So it says the Midrash says, and the Navi says that she went out of her way to provide wicks. She went in and she worked hard to make wicks for the Mishkan. And she sent her husband to go bring the wicks to the Mishkan, hoping that when he spends time over there, he'll change and he'll grow and he'll learn something. So Devorah has the zechut, number one, providing light for the Mishkan. Actually, the Gemara says whoever is very meticulous to do Hanukkah candles properly, he'll have banim tamidei chachamim. He'll have children who are Torah scholars, because the light of the menorah is really organuz, and the or of Torah is also organuz. So the fire of the candles represent the fire of Torah. So the same thing over here. She went to give wicks to the menorah in the temple. So that's the one zechut. She got Torah, and then another zechut is that she pushed her husband to go. Her husband would have went otherwise. He was Am Haaretz. How is he going to get connected to Torah? So since she pushed him, so that's why the sages say that a woman builds or a woman destroys, right? That a woman who's wise sends her husband to shul and sends her husband to learn and tells her husband, what are you sitting hours on end on your couch in the evening just bumming around on your phone? Go and do something productive. Go and learn Torah. Where's your chavruta? Why don't you go to night kollel? What's going to be with you? Come on. What are you teaching our kids? So such a woman who pushes her husband, she has a big zechut, like Devorah Neviah. Opposite, there's a woman who destroyed her home. The husband wants to go learn. Again, you're leaving. You don't take me out. All the other husbands, I don't see them leaving their wives every night for kollel, to learn. Again, you're with chavruta learning. Be chavruta with me. Learn with me. Spend time with me. I want to go out to this wedding. Yes, it's not separate. It's going to be mixed. I want to go. What? It's my family. I can't go. Oh, you're religious. We can't go now. We are not allowed to have fun. Well, I'm not allowed to go this vacation. I'm not going to go that vacation. You're Chalav Yisrael. You're Bet Yosef. You're Minyan. Oh. So then she destroys him. She breaks him. Chaz v'shalom, that's the opposite. We need to be a woman who is like Devorah Neviah, who builds her husband. Anyways, so they go, and she becomes a prophetess. She sits under the palm tree and she gives out prophecy and judgment to the Jewish people. If anybody had a fight, they should go to her and she would be like Bedin. Now, afterwards, Barak, her husband, and her have a prophecy that Sisera will be destroyed and will beat them. So they decide to go to war. Now, interestingly, Sisera was also an astrologer, and he saw blood in the mazal, and he thought that means he's going to win. But really, it was his own blood. He didn't realize. But Devorah sends Barak, go get 10,000 men from Naphtali, tribe of Naphtali, and go and tell them we're going to fight a war. And Barak said, no, come with me. I'm scared. I don't think they're going to listen to me. The Midrash says that Barak lost his zichud right there. Barak didn't approach the situation, say, yes, I'll be the leader, I'll do it, I could do it. He didn't believe in himself. He had lack of self-confidence, and that meant he lost the zichud of the mitzvah, and the zichud went to, we're going to see Yael kills Sisera, and we're going to see that Devorah also gets the zichud of winning this war. But Barak could have had it, but because when he comes to a mitzvah, he was a little bit of a lack of confidence and not believing in himself, he lost the reward that should be on his name. Ended up being, they go to war, and they go into this valley, and Sisera meets the Jewish people's army. Ended up being that they got scared. In the Kishon Valley, the Navi says that Hashem made a tremendous noise. So from far, they didn't see exactly what the Jews looked like, their army. They heard a lot of noise. They thought they had a lot of weapons, a lot of chariots. So they got nervous. The Midrash says they got so confused, it started an internal struggle. And they weren't organized, and it caused them to be, all over the place, and people started fighting with each other. They started killing each other. Sisera saw that he lost control of his army, and he saw that the Jews were coming. He said, this is not going to work. I'm going to lose this battle automatically. So he ran away. He found some random place. He said, hey, can I stay here and hide? And that was Yael's tent, Ch.4. And he goes and she says, no problem, I'll hide you. It's actually interesting. Some say she covered her in a blanket. And Ma'am Loez says actually she gave him a woman's clothing to pretend to hide. Anyways, he asked for water, she gave him milk, and he became sleepy. She covered him, and then she took a peg and she drove it through his temple straight into the ground. So his head was attached to the ground. And the Gemara says that it's impossible for a woman to be so strong like this. And obviously, she had the Shmaya. Now, the fact that she was so strong and courageous to do this is unbelievable. Afterwards, they bring Barak and show that they killed Sisera. And after this, once Sisera was gone, the enemy forces lost their morale and they all ran away, and that's it. The Jews won. B'schut, the two ladies of Yael and Devorah, which shows Hashem's main message. The Midrash says is that you don't need to have supermen to win the war. People think like you need to have the general like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's go, like that. You need to have somebody like that to win the war. But a person who's a lady is gonna win us the war. What? Yeah, Hashem can make anybody win the war. To show you, it's no b'koach, no b'chayil. It's not with strength and with your own hands. And a person shouldn't say koch v'yotzi yadi. Oh, it makes sense that we won the war because of my strength, because of our weapons, because of our technology. No, Hashem wants to show I can make anybody win. Just like Ehud ben Gera, he beat up the Plishtim with the cattle prod. So too, the two prophetesses, Hashem made them win the war because, look, even a lady, I'm sure even a child, look at David and Goliath, that's a famous story. He's a little child, little kid, teenager, he destroyed Goliath. That is the nature of the Jewish people, and we have to remember that. Baruch Amen.